Hello, and welcome to our webcast, which we are calling Operation DPM Migration. I'm Michael Rothschild, your host. As you may already be aware, RSA has announced end-of-product support for their DPM platform, which has many companies at a crossroads seeking a replacement in order to secure their most valuable asset, their data. The purpose of this webcast is to give partners and customers an accelerated and proven switchover plan from the RSA platform to Vormetric. On the call today, we're going to discuss what the product mapping looks like, features and functionality, migration plans, and a whole lot more. That being said, I have the honor and privilege of introducing our speaker for today, Brent Hansen, the Director of Sales Engineering, who will take us through the process and how you can truly make the migration quickly and efficiently to the Vormetric Data Security platform. So without further ado, here is Brent.
Sure. Thanks, Michael. So on the agenda, what we'll talk about specifically is what is RSA DPM? What is that platform comprised of? And based on the product line that you're using or the different features that you've deployed in your environment from DPM, how does Vormetric map specifically to those products that you're using? I'll also cover why is Vormetric the best option when looking for a migration product or replacement product to move out of RSA DPM. I'll dig a little deeper into the entire Vormetric platform and what are additional options and capabilities that Vormetric brings to the table outside of just the features of RSA DPM. And then we'll talk about just what does a migration conversation look like? What are the types of questions and conversations we should have as we're discussing with customers how to migrate them from RSA DPM based on if they've employed app encryption, tokenization, or doing third-party key management. So in terms of RSA Data Protection Manager, notice that we're in an inflection point. This product is going to be end-of-life in September 2017. And what this product does is secures data through application encryption, tokenization, which does need a vault for storing the tokens, and also key management. And you'll see that if you look at the URL down below, there's a number of other products or feature sets of this already live. So customers are certainly planning accordingly. And today we're talking about how to address that migration to the Vormetric platform. So if you want to look at a path and how do we move forward? So what is the product mapping between RSA and Vormetric? So at the heart of both architectures is a key manager. So on the left, of course, we've got RSA, we've got their Data Protection Manager appliance. This comes in two options, a hardware for FIPS and also a virtual option. Down below that, for the Data Protection Manager key client, this is if they've woven in the application encryption libraries, which are PKCS11, into their applications and are encrypting data at the field level. And then lastly, their Protection Manager for the token client. So again, instead of using encryption to protect the data, they've decided to tokenize the data using the token client. So if you look to the corresponding products that we here at Vormetric offer, so we, of course, have a policy and encryption key manager appliance that's called our Vormetric Data Security Manager. This, of course, comes in a virtual or a hardware. So we have FIPS 140-2 and L3 with HSM requirements. Below that, we have our own application level encryption. This is, of course, format preserving, so that as you do encryption at the application level, where that data is stored in the databases, that it will preserve referential integrity. All of the encrypted values will be preserved values in terms of the format they were previous to be encrypted. And then, of course, through your referential integrity, business intelligence, however you may use that data, it can continue to be very useful without needing to decrypt that data based on its format preserved state. And then below that, of course, Vormetric offers tokenization. And our tokenization, instead of installing libraries, is simply called using REST APIs. So on paper, their Protection Manager, Vormetric Data Security Manager. Their libraries for app encryption, our libraries for app encryption. And then, of course, they have a token client where our tokenization is just called using REST APIs. So if you look at the Vormetric advantage, just based on those three feature sets that we're replacing, we've got application level encryption. What you'll notice is that we both use PKCS11 libraries. So what we're enabling customers to do is leverage the expertise they've already had by building RSA DPM into their product set using these PKCS11 libraries. So taking advantage of that expertise, moving right over to the Vormetric code, and then in addition, being able to take advantage of our format preserving encryption. Now below that, of course, tokenization. RSA offers Vault. We offer a Vault and a vaultless solution, which of course is going to be much more scalable. And then from a performance standpoint, whether it's volume and velocity, we'll be able to support millions of records per second. Below that, of course, when you're doing the tokenization, it's all just a simple REST API call. So very, very little coding is necessary to incorporate our tokenization into your token service. For third-party key management and KMIP, of course, all that's handled through our data security manager. Very much or very similar how you're using the RSA DPM key manager as well. But in addition, the additional Vormetric advantage is our transparent encryption, which is our ability to encrypt through the file system with access control. And so upon these additional capabilities, we're offering customers not only an ability to migrate from RSA DPM, but also additional options and capabilities that they can migrate to that can be much more rapidly deployed when they're doing a major migration effort from their platform to ours. So if you look at the Vormetric application encryption, so here's just an example of securing some credit card information, but what you'll notice is that from the development side, it's very simple. If you're in Java, .NET, C++, C, you essentially just weave our libraries or install our libraries in on each of your application servers so that when you need to encrypt that data when it's incepted, you can make a call, we encrypt that data, and then of course gets stored in the database. And then of course, depending on when and how that data needs to be decrypted, you can make a simple call to decrypt that data. So very, very similar mechanically to how you're using RSA DPM today, but again, with the added advantage of using our format preserving encryption. So next we'll talk about the tokenization. So as I said previously, currently RSA DPM is a vaulted technology, meaning you have a physical database and that is where the tokens and their associated encrypted values are stored. So we're offering customers two options. If you want to remain in a vaulted environment, you can by all means continue to do so with Vormetric tokenization. If you want to move to our second option, which is a vaultless tokenization, what happens there is our virtual token server will on the fly create tokens for you so that as you're having applications request tokenizations, tokens, we're generating them on the fly and you're able to push them downstream. And then of course, when you want to detokenize the data, you can of course make that simple REST API call to tokenize. So vaultless, of course, being from a performance standpoint with scale and velocity a much, much faster option, also ensuring that across data centers that you avoid any opportunities for token collisions. Lastly, I would say about Vormetric tokenization is that not only do we make it simple to tokenize data or detokenize data through a simple REST API call, we also put the power of the security in the security team's hands, meaning that we integrate with LDAP, we integrate with AD, so that the developers can make a REST API call to tokenize a value such as credit card or social security number. But the security through the virtual token server management console, what that team can do is actually build the rules from a security standpoint on when you're going to detokenize a social security number that you would only, of course, detokenize and only show or represent visually the last four of a social security number. Or of course, if it's a credit card and you want to tokenize just the middle six. Again, you don't have to rely on your developers to build in the security rules. It's all done through the virtual token server management console. It makes it very simple and of course gives you that opportunity for delegation of duty. The application developers write the token detokenization calls, and the security department, of course, builds the rules on how those tokens should be tokenized and who they should be tokenized for. So in looking at the entire Vormetric security platform. We've talked in depth about our application encryption, our tokenization, but we also have additional methods and opportunities for customers to use other methods to encrypt their data. So one being, of course, our transparent encryption. This is for any structured or non-structured data that resides on Linux, Unix, and Windows. We don't care what version of database or what version or what distribution of Hadoop or NoSQL you're using. As long as it runs on Linux, Unix, and Windows, we can secure that data through encryption, but also with access control. And that access control for all of that data protected through our transparent encryption will not only let you check the blocks from a compliance standpoint, it will also ensure that you're protecting your organization from an insider threat, ensuring that in the event someone breaks into your network, elevates their privileges to a root or an admin, domain admin, local admin, even backup administrator, that those credentials cannot be used against you. There's no way that those credentials, upon being compromised, can leak data outside your organization. Now, not only can we prevent that from happening, we can also be much more proactive and raise your security posture so that in the event someone attempts to access sensitive data using our transparent encryption, that we notify and alert you, and also provide all the actionable intelligence so that you can go back and look at patterns and ensure that if someone's AD account was compromised, that you can immediately react and ensure that that doesn't happen again with those credentials. The other thing I would say lastly, of course, is this ability to blind root. So if you look at your security strategy and the ability to take all administrative credentials from being used against you as a threat off the table, vastly increases your security posture. Now, lastly, down below, you'll see our Vormetric Cloud Gateway. So oftentimes as customers find out, or the security department will find out later, that a business unit is already pushing some sensitive data to Box, S3, other cloud providers, you want a way to retrofit security without having to unravel what they've done or essentially pull that data back from the cloud provider, encrypt it, and push it back. So what we've provided customers, very quick way to retrofit using our Cloud Gateway. Right now it's for Caringo, S3, and Box, but essentially as your data leaves premise, you proxy that data through our virtual cloud gateway, and it will encrypt that data as it leaves your premise, as it arrives in the cloud provider. Now that does a couple of things. One, having your keys, of course, stored behind your firewall in the data security managers, that protects you from a data subpoena. It also ensures that in the event the cloud provider where your sensitive data is being housed is compromised, that cannot be, of course, used against you because your data is encrypted, or in the event their administrators, right, have the ability to see your data, you're ensured that they have no options to decrypt it. Again, having that alerting and that reporting option available to you. So that, of course, is the security platform with the additional capabilities of transparent encryption and our cloud gateway. And so on paper, if you want to understand, well, is there anything that we might be using at RSA DPM currently that may overlap with transparent encryption? The answer is no. And the beauty of the transparent encryption offered by Vormetric, number one, is that there are no changes to any database or any Hadoop distribution or NoSQL environment that you want to protect with our transparent encryption. You also don't have to make a single change to a line of code to any application. So that data at rest is not only going to be encrypted with transparent encryption, but also protected with access control. You'll also notice we're not going to add additional network saturation with hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of encrypt, decrypt, or tokenized, detokenized requests across your network. We can handle all that locally to the box that is encrypting and protecting that data through transparent encryption. You'll see, most importantly, we have a SIM integration for alerting, auditing, and reporting. Again, it's Linux, Unix, and Windows. And then, of course, the ability to rapidly deploy. So we have scripts that we can deploy to Linux, Unix, and Windows. It's agent-based. Once we've got those agents rolled out, we essentially encrypt the data we migrate the data to an encrypted state, and then, of course, put the access control upon that. And then lastly, Vormetric is releasing what we call live data transformation. So if you've got some unstructured data or large Oracle databases that have 10 terabytes of data, if not more, it's a way to actually roll out the agents and roll out a policy through access control to protect that encrypted data but also encrypt that data real time with zero downtime to your production environment. Additionally, looking at our virtual cloud gateway, again, this is not something that RSA DPM provides. What we provide through our cloud gateway is AD integration, support for Box, S3, and Caringo. So when talking to customers who are currently using RSA DPM, it's important to understand what version they're on. Oftentimes, there are a couple of versions back, and perhaps that's not even in a supported state. But you want to understand how many applications they have deployed using the RSA DPM product. You'll also want to understand what is the application sprawl. So how many applications are all writing to the same database? And that's important from the enterprise architecture standpoint, just to ensure that when we're doing the migration that we plan accordingly so that you're able to do a very successful migration from their encrypted data to Vormetric encrypted data, or vice versa on the tokenization side. So in addition, if you've got application encryption deployed and you've also leveraged their tokenization, we want to know in inventory how many applications are tokenizing data, and of course, importantly, how many are detokenizing, and who are they detokenizing that data for. Another thing you'll want to understand is how DPM is used for key management. So I've seen and spoken with many customers where they've done some customization with encryption key and key management that we'll want to understand so that we can provide a path to continue to use those customizations and ensure you're able to get them over to our data security manager and continue from a business standpoint to use those applications that you may have highly customized with RSA DPM encryption. Another thing to understand is oftentimes when you're doing the planning, there may be some opportunity instead of backing out RSA DPM encryption and moving that to Vormetric application encryption to actually use our transparent encryption. And what you can do is actually utilize this during the migration. So as you look at the applications that are using app encryption or tokenization, and our transparent encryption is an option to protect that data, you can actually deploy us while it is still being protected with RSA DPM, and then gradually back those applications out based on just the priority of applications. So perhaps some of them at the bottom of the priority list but still have to be migrated. You may choose to use our transparent encryption during the migration, or even just migrate them to use that encryption method with access control. Other things or topics of discussion, if there are legacy tokens that you want to ensure are preserved, so that if you've got 10 years worth of tokenized data, that you have a manner of trying to transition the detokenization moving forward so you can move your keys from DPM over to the data security manager. So there's a number of different ways that we can whiteboard and discuss from an architecture standpoint how to most rapidly move over in the most least disruptive manner. And then, of course, understanding what are the initiatives around moving your data to the cloud. So at Vormetric, our platform ensures that whether your data resides on-premise, whether it's a hybrid cloud or in a cloud provider themselves, that no matter where your data goes, that Vormetric enables you and empowers you to have self-defending data with access control as it leaves your prem in a hybrid cloud or perhaps a public cloud. So in terms of the competitive features that Vormetric offers when migrating from RSA DPM to our data security platform. So one, of course, we also offer FIPS 140-2, L3 HSM support. We have separation of duties and key lifecycle management. We're, of course, NIST approved with our AES 256 encryption. We've done many global and enterprise rolls out. So we've already got a proven scale of performance and deployment track record that you can leverage for very large migrations from RSA to Vormetric. Other items to think about, of course, is multi-tenancy. So if you've got data across borders, or if you've got different business units that you want to segregate Vormetric administrators and key management, you can absolutely do that. We are truly a market leader in the data security environment, and the trends of people that are moving away from this end-of-life platform is quite substantial, and we're certainly the fastest and best route to go when migrating from the DPM platform. We, of course, also have a very, very strong roadmap here at Vormetric to involve additional capabilities so that you can continue to leverage your investment in our data security platform for not only the needs today, but the needs 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, so that leveraging the investment, of course, continues to be a single platform, no matter how your data may evolve of where it's perhaps stored or how it's perhaps used. So again, why Vormetric? So number one, continue to leverage the existing coding expertise that you have in-house. So again, Vormetric also uses PKCS11 libraries, so the coding changes are very, very minimal. Another option, of course, is considering using our transparent encryption as a substitution versus migrating an application or a tokenized application over. Many customers will go this route to very quickly fill in the gap to get that data protected with access control and continue to raise security posture, all while, again, continuing to rapidly deploy our app encryption and tokenization to migrate to our platform. We've certainly got a true platform support with Linux, Unix, Windows. No matter where, again, your data goes, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud, we want to ensure that we're enabling you to have that data protect itself, not only with encryption, but also access control. Vormetric, we have 17 of the Fortune 30 as global customers, and you want to, of course, leverage that install base and expertise that we've provided those customers in deployments through our professional services team. And then, of course, with our security expertise and the acquisition, this should happen very shortly with Talus to only continue to add to the platform with their enterprise key management. So lastly, again, not only can we help you migrate from the DPM product line with app encryption, tokenization, and enterprise key management, we also have the additional capabilities through our transparent encryption with encrypting to the file system with access control, integration with your SIM tool, increasing your insight into your encryption platform, and also our cloud encryption gateway in the event you've moved to Coringo, S3, or Box.
So Brent, it looks like making the switch can be done in an accelerated and an efficient manner from an end-of-life product to the Vormetric Data Security platform. Everything customers got with RSA, plus a bunch of additional features and functionality that perhaps they might not have thought of. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank our speaker, Brent Hansen, for all the good material and expertise he provided today. If you're interested in learning more, please visit us at www.vormetric.com. You can also contact your local rep or send us an email at info@vormetric.com. Thank you for joining us.